Hi, welcome back to Inverness in the Spotlight, brought to you by Inverness Old Town Association. I'm Teresa Foster, Executive Director of Sunflower Springs Assisted Living Community, and today Ron Dillon and I are going to discuss the avenues of assisted living. Ron, how long have we been in business?
Sunflower Springs has been in business about 2 years now. We're coming up on an anniversary, as a matter of fact. And we are the newest assisted living community in Citrus County, which is great. It's a resort-style assisted living community. I think it makes us unique to the area. People that come there come from resort-style atmospheres. They come from country club backgrounds, and they really like the freedom and the activities that we have for them available at our community.
How do you feel about working in a business that's locally owned and operated by a group of local physicians?
You know, that's really important that it is a locally owned and operated community. And I think the great thing about when this building was built is these doctors kind of thought about, how do I want this assisted living community to look for if it was for my parents? And they built it that way. They spared no expense. They put all the amenities in there that anybody could possibly want, and it shows. And if anybody hasn't been out and hasn't seen the community, they definitely need to come out. If they can't come out, they need to go onto our website at sunfloweralf.com and take a virtual tour, because it's really, really a beautiful community.
What do you think would make the difference between living in assisted living versus independent living? Why would you choose the assisted living avenue instead of being just independent? What's the benefit of that?
I think the biggest benefit is that we've got a safety net of care for folks. And I think people have a misinformation of thinking that when they move into assisted living, they're giving up their independence, which really isn't true at all. I actually find and talk to people that they actually gain independence because they're not worried about grocery shopping, they're not worried about cooking, they're not worried about housekeeping, laundry. We do all that for them. They just have to worry about getting up in the morning and decide what activities they're going to partake in, go eat their lunch, go eat their dinner, go on an outing, and enjoy our social hour. We do a social hour, which is a unique thing for us. Every afternoon, with the exception of Sunday, 3:30 to 4:30 is actually a social hour, and that's always a really unique, fun thing for people to come see.
And I know last time we were on the program, you asked me about the ECC license. We have an extended congregate care license at Sunflower Springs, which, if you're in assisted living, is a huge benefit because you get to age with choice. If somebody becomes sick and needs more care, they wouldn't have to move out. But in independent living, you might not know that if you do become ill and you need assistance, most likely you have to move out of those apartments because they are not prepared to offer any sort of care assistance.
That is true, and that does make us unique in the area. But besides being a resort style, we can care for people longer. So what happens is when they move in, if their care needs change, they don't have to move out and go into a skilled nursing home or into a long-term nursing home, which is a lot of the fears that I talk to families about initially when they talk to me about assisted living. So it gives them peace of mind, knowing that their family is going to be safe and they live in an environment where we can care for them even when their needs increase. So that is definitely a good selling point for us.
And that's a good point you brought up about being a skilled facility. A lot of people don't understand the difference between skilled and assisted living. Skilled is more institutionalized. It's a 24-hour nursing. It's where your decision ability is less. Wouldn't you say so than in an assisted living?
Absolutely. Assisted living is more of a social environment. It's, there is medical care, but it's a social model. It's a social environment. And that's why I think it's important that for family members that have some misgivings about coming out and taking a look, they need to come see. Because I think the biggest thing that I find from people is they're surprised. When they walk in and they say, wow, this isn't what I expected at all. Because they're thinking of hospitals, they're thinking of nursing homes, and that's not what we are at all.
No, we're all about choice. What do you think would be the biggest thing to differentiate us in the community with other assisted livings?
I think it's that independence that people do feel and have there, the ability to continue their life and thrive and enjoy choice, do the things that they choose to do. I think people sometimes think that when you move to assisted living, you've got to give up your car, you give up your independence, which is not true at all. A lot of our people drive. They come and go as they please. And our community in particular is one that's very active. There's a lot of active people, and it's great. And it just enhances everybody's life to be around people that are like that are not in a nursing home. They're living active lifestyles. So that makes us different, for sure, I think.
Well, and I would say, like, this past week there was a Valentine's party, which you were there part of.
That was great, yeah. We crowned the king and the queen, which was fantastic.
Lots of dancing, steak dinners, wine, champagne. And that is another thing that makes us very unique, is that we cater to a higher quality of life.
I think that's true. And again, like I alluded to before, you know, it's kind of a country club lifestyle. We do have that social hour. And they are able to partake and have a good time, and that's, part of the allure of what people like about Sunflower Springs that differentiates us from everybody else.
So what would someone have to do to move into Sunflower Springs Assisted Living? What's the process?
Well, basically, sometimes people will just come in or they'll call and they'll ask for information. I always suggest to people to look at the website. I suggest for people to tour, maybe tour a couple communities and then bring their parents to the ones they like the best, and just get a feel for it. Go back at different times of the day. As far as the process for the move-in goes, we would do an evaluation. We'd make sure clinically that we could take care of them. And then, of course, we want to make sure that it feels right for them, because it's got to feel like a home. It's got to feel like a place that they want to be at. I generally like to visit folks in their homes, in their own environment, talk to them about the process, explain to them, and I like to help people all the way through the process. And I give them my personal cell phone number, and I tell them call me anytime, because it's really important that, that they know they're taken care of.
Well, and when choosing assisted living, it's like choosing a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. There are many different neighborhoods in Citrus County, so when you choose an assisted living in Citrus County, you want to choose the right neighborhood for you, where you're going to have the most friends, the most activities, and really thrive, and you feel comfortable.
That's correct. And I think people are surprised that they come into a new environment like that and they end up making new friends and getting into new activities. And at that stage in their life when they thought there wasn't a whole lot left to do, they actually find that they really do enjoy it. It's more like a cruise ship type environment, and they
yes.
do, and they do like that. Yeah.
Well, and that is what we are about. We're mm-hmm. about the vision of the investors was resort style, mm-hmm. a high quality of life, and giving the most to the last days of your life, mm-hmm. and being able to age in place with lots of choice.
Right.
How do you think the care in the end, as far as like when you're doing the evaluation, what's really required in that?
When I do the evaluation, I usually like to get Melissa Rogers, our resident care director, involved, just to make sure that we can care for folks and make sure that they can stay there long term. And it's important to get the nurse's opinion, because I don't want somebody to move in there and then have to move out right away. So we want people to be independent, but if they have the needs, if they have need help with their medications, we can do that for them. So.
Well, Ron, thank you very much for answering the questions, and I hope that there's a clearer picture of assisted living. And we'd like to thank the Inverness Old Town Association for allowing us to come back again. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.